Shout out Papa Lot Montage. What's up, bro? We about to find out who Ksoo dad is.
Abdul Blue Robinson isn't famous for what he did. He's famous for who he did it to.
Do you see your son Hakeem Robinson in the courtroom here today?
Yes.
Can you tell us where he's seated and what he is wearing?
He's seated between the two lawyers right there with a beige suit on.
Most people think they know Abdul Robinson because they saw the clip of him pointing across the courtroom at his own son.
Crazy.
And figured that was enough to tell them everything. But what most people didn't know is that was more the ending than the beginning.
He says he's been through a lot, including his own trouble in the streets of Jacksonville. But today he wants to clear the air.
Did 11 years in prison, got out 2009. Haven't been in no trouble with the law until a couple of months ago.
Way before people saw him on the stand, making headlines in the news, Blue's name had already been infamous in the city of Jacksonville.
Damn.
Alleged to have moved nearly a ton of cocaine on Jacksonville's north side.
He was a kingpin?
For months, police have been investigating the drug activity of these three men,
1999.
Abdul Robinson, Derek Smith, and Dondrick Bates. Police believe that the three may be responsible for selling nearly a ton of cocaine near the area of King and Myrtle Streets on the northwest side.
He was
His
getting money.
story in association with violence in Jacksonville would span nearly 4 decades, with him alleged to have caused bloodshed, shed blood, and even losing blood's sake.
He wants people to know he's not retaliating for the murder of his son.
I want justice for my son. I'm not sending nobody out there. They got quote unquote, I'm supposed to have hits.
And when he would be charged with his son in association to a murder, it wouldn't be his first, as he would be implicated in multiple during his history on the streets of Jacksonville.
Robinson, aka Blue, had been charged with murder 3 times.
Lord forgive me for this trap shit. Sergeant Smack make it back.
Charged with murder 3 times.
With the action, with the vital speaking Spanish. Frank Matthews, how I vanish. Poof. Came back like I'm King Tut. Gold BBS is on a beamer.
Also known as Ksoo, and his cousin Leroy Whitaker Jr. are both charged in the 2020 shooting death of 23-year-old Charles McCormick Jr. Prosecutors say Robinson wanted to kill McCormick, known as rapper Buck, for making a diss track about someone in his family who had been killed in a drive-by shooting.
Mr. Robinson, do you have a nickname?
Yes.
And what is your nickname?
Blue.
Do some people also refer to you as Big Dog?
Yes, sir.
Now, in your case that you have pending involving myself, 20 CF 8261, there are multiple other individuals, co-defendants, that are also pending involving that matter. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that includes one of your sons, Abdul Robinson Jr.?
Yes, sir.
And what do you call him?
Kareem.
Karim?
Yes, sir.
And that's his middle name?
Yes, sir.
Does he also have other nicknames?
Yeah.
Do people sometimes refer to him as Little Blue?
Yes.
Do they sometimes refer to him as Crazy or K Crazy?
Yeah, Crazy K.
Crazy K. Hakeem Robinson is also your son?
Yes, sir.
And a co-defendant in your case? Correct?
Yes, sir.
And does he have a nickname?
You can tell he nervous. He keep playing with his beard. He nervous.
What do you call Hakeem Robinson?
Hakeem.
Do all other people also call him Ksoo?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Damn.
A father pointing out his own son in a courtroom is enough to make anyone sick to their stomach. But if the same people throwing up over it actually knew that that testimony was tied to another one of his sons already in the ground, they'd fully understand that what had them woozy was just the trailer and not the movie.
Right.
Tonight, we're hearing from the sister of the man killed in yesterday's mass shooting in Spring Park. but when I think about it, what would I be without my guns?
This is 25-year-old Willie Addison's music video. His sister tells News4Jax he was a rapper, not a gang member. Friends say Addison, his father, and brother were among 6 shot early yesterday morning, leaving the Paradise Gentlemen's Club on Bay Meadows Road. Sources tell News4Jax there was a birthday party held there, and Addison was performing. News4Jax reporter Destiny McKeever is live from Memorial Hospital.
So they was getting back for his son and the brother or family member getting killed, and they got back at everybody who was possibly involved, and he snitched on them, basically. That's crazy.
Where victims of the shooting are still recovering there. Destiny.
Many of those victims just getting out of surgery this morning. The family members telling me they are expected to make a full recovery. Unfortunately, Willie Addison did not. He died of his injuries, and his family and friends tell me he did not deserve to be shot.
And I've been posted on the fire with Dan, and we get money.
In this music video, you can see Willie Addison, an aspiring 25-year-old rapper, in the moments leading to his death. Addison was performing at the Paradise Gentlemen's Club Wednesday morning, just after 2 a.m. when this video was taken. Soon after, he was shot inside of a silver Chevy Tahoe, carrying 5 other people. Those 5 including Addison's father, brother, and friends, according to a family friend. They're all expected to survive.
The first thing that went through my head was, why would anybody want to hurt Willie? Like, everyone loved him. He was a people person.
We spoke with a friend of Addison's who didn't want to reveal her identity for safety reasons. She says Addison was just getting out of prison. He served a 6-year sentence for burglary and perjury. She says he was turning his life around and focused on his music.
He was an up-and-coming artist. He was always...
And that little clip of the music I seen and heard, it sounded pretty good. So maybe somebody was at that club watching him.
He's rapping and making songs. What he loved to do was he loved to freestyle. That's what he did.
In a statement, Addison's sister tells News4Jax Willie was not and is not a gang member. Willie was a rapper who spoke to people, so don't get confused with him being a statistic or a product of his environment. Police have said they believe the victims were targeted. They range in age from 20s to 40s. No names aside from Addison's have been released.
The father of 2 people shot in a mass shooting last month is now speaking out about the state of our city and what he feels needs to happen to stop the violence.
I think just as well as they're talking about bringing the National Guard in and all that, I think that that's going to be a challenge to the younger guys or whoever out here in the streets, you know, doing what they do.
Abdul Robinson was also shot in the mass shooting. 6 were shot and 1 person died. The man who died was Robinson's 25-year-old son, Willie Addison, who was an aspiring rapper. News4Jax reporter Destiny McKeever spoke one-on-one with Robinson, who now says he wants justice.
And Tariq, there have been no arrests made in that mass shooting. Again, I spoke with the father one-on-one. He says his young son, Willie Addison, was shot and killed, and his other son was shot and wounded. He's still in the hospital, but he says in no way, shape, or form did this family deserve this.
Nobody deserves it.
Willie Addison was shot and killed after a rap event at Paradise Gentlemen's Club last month. He was in the truck with 5 other people. His dad, Abdul Robinson, was driving.
I guess 2 or 3 cars pulled up on the side of us, shot inside our car over 100 times.
Damn.
Killed my son in the front seat, shot my son in the back, in the head 3 times.
Damn.
Shot my nephew several times. Couple more passengers in there were shot several times, numerous of times. And I drove all the way from there to Memorial Hospital, shot in the back myself twice.
It's a story hard to imagine, but Robinson says it was reality and he had to act fast. He says he's been through a lot, including his own trouble in the streets of Jacksonville, but today he wants to clear the air.
Did 11 years in prison, got out 2009, haven't been in no trouble with the law until a couple of months ago. Nothing serious. And we not getting the same treatment as a victim. Not saying the police not working or doing their job. I don't want to say that.
What Robinson is saying is that with Jacksonville having 22 murders in the first couple months of 2019, he wants people to know he's not retaliating for the murder of his son.
I want justice for my son. I'm not sending nobody out there. They got quote unquote.
Well, why even put that out there? Why even, offer that type of statement or information? Unless they asked him, hey, are you going to retaliate? I don't know. Why even say that? I don't know.
I'm supposed to have hits.
By 2019, when Blue was wounded in a mass shooting that killed his son and left several of his family members bleeding beside him, he had only been back on the streets of Jacksonville for 10 years after being gone for 10. And before people knew him as the worst kind of rat there is, what if I told you he was one of the most prolific and notorious figures ever to walk the streets of Jacksonville?
In the late 90s, many of the drug sales were linked to Abdul Robinson and Derek Smith. Their street names?
Blue and Smiley were so notorious that JSO sent out flyers to road patrol officers to keep an eye out in the neighborhoods where they were believed to operate.
Damn.
Just so that you could try to have as many sets of eyes as possible on Blue and Smiley.
Robinson, aka Blue, had been charged with murder 3 times.
Damn.
And Smith had kidnapping, battery, and attempted murder on his record. But when their names came across Jim Clint's desk, both were still on the street.
For months, police have been investigating the drug activity of these 3 men, Abdul Robinson, Derek Smith, and Dondrick Bates. Police believe that the 3 may be responsible for selling nearly a ton of cocaine near the area of King and Myrtle Streets on the northwest side.
By August 1999, Sheriff Glover, along with Assistant U.S. Attorney Jim Clint, announced Blue and Smiley have been indicted on federal drug charges.
I want the people to know who've been intimidated by these thugs that they're in jail, and we intend to keep them in jail.
If you wondered how Abdul Blue Robinson could look so comfortable taking a stand in a high-stakes trial, it's because it wasn't really his first rodeo. Blue's documented criminal history with law enforcement dates back to the late 1980s and 1990s, where he would develop a reputation with both local and federal authorities while operating inside of Jacksonville's lucrative cocaine trafficking economy.
But to be fair, I watched the Vlad, it was either Vlad or Say Cheese. He said he never got on a stand or told back in the day. That was his first time doing it, to be fair, so I don't know.
Federal complaint and subsequent coverage would describe how Blue, Derek Smiley Smith, a person described as the Muscle, and Dondrika Marlowe Bates were indicted for distributing cocaine in Jacksonville as far back as 1989. During that era, authorities would publicly link Blue to at least 3 homicide investigations. He would never be charged in 2, and the charges were ultimately dropped in the 3rd, a detail that would help solidify his reputation as one of Jacksonville's most notorious drug figures of the 1990s. On August 27, 1999, the 3 men would be arrested, and their case would quickly become an object for a wider investigation into corruption inside of the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. Bates would cooperate early and receive a 7-year sentence, while Blue and Smith would tell investigators how they had been paying at least 1 officer for inside information on drug cases. In 2000, Blue would be...
He did say that in a Vlad, I can't remember which one, but in the interview, he did say he had cops on his payroll. So he really had motion back in the day.
Sentenced in federal court to 21 years in prison for conspiracy to distribute cocaine. Blue would later say he served roughly 11 years before being released around 2009. With the assistance of Blue, that 1999 drug case would help federal investigators crack open one of the worst police corruption scandals in Jacksonville's history. Testimony and information from Blue, Smith, and Bates would contribute to a 15-month grand jury probe that would produce a 26-count federal indictment against several officers from the Jacksonville's sheriff's office, including Carl Walden, Eric Sinclair, Jason Pogue, and Reginald Bones, along with others. According to federal court records and DOJ releases, that group of officers and associates spent the late 1990s robbing drug dealers, stealing cash and narcotics, staging fake traffic stops, and even committing murder while using their badges and police gear as cover.
Wow.
The most infamous crime in that spree would be a kidnapping, robbery, and murder of a convenience store owner by the name of Sammy Saphir, who was abducted after withdrawing about $50,000 from a bank on July 3rd in 1998 and was found dead the very next day. Former Jacksonville Sheriff's Officer Keith Walden will ultimately receive a mandatory life sentence for his role in Safar's killing. The grand jury would also examine the robbery of Saphir's nephew.
Back in the day, $50,000, that's a lot of money back in the day in that time.
In that same parking lot, the killing of Jeffrey Reed and a string of robberies where men would dress as police to steal money under the color of law. Blue's cooperation would help corroborate how corrupt officers were feeding privileged information to dealers and participating in violent robberies, making him a key figure on the witness side of the scandal, even as he remained a convicted trafficker. After his release from federal prison, Blue's name would resurface in a new generation of street violence centered on his sons and the Jacksonville drill rap scene. On January 16, 2019, his 25-year-old son, Willie Addison, a rapper known as Boss Goon, would be fatally wounded in a drive-by shooting near Spring Park Road shortly after performing at Paradise Gentlemen's Club. 4 others were wounded, including Blue, who was shot in the back but survived. Prosecutors would later argue that the January 15, 2020 ambush murder of rival rapper Charles Little Buck McCormick was retaliation for Addison's death, and that the feud was further inflamed by music that mocked his killing. In that case, Abdul Blue Robinson was charged as an accessory after the fact for helping co-defendants flee and dispose of evidence, and he eventually agreed to cooperate, identifying his son.
Which is crazy. So this is like my bad, y'all. This is the deal. So he says in the interview that he didn't know what occurred, with his son killing the guy and then those other people running away and taking a lady inside of her home and doing a whole home invasion, kidnapping, whatever. He said he didn't have no knowledge of that. He just picked them up and took them away. But then once they told him, he took their clothes and then went and burnt them. So do y'all think he should have still been quiet and didn't say shit? Because once you took the clothes, I feel like now you involved yourself. And I feel like he was involved a little bit. Like, it's not like he was oblivious to anything going on. I feel like he was involved somewhat. He probably didn't go on the hits with his son, but in some shape, way, or form, he was involved. So to burn the clothes and then eventually snitch on your son and point your son out and all that is crazy work. What's y'all thoughts? Y'all tell me your thoughts in the comments.
Hakeem Ksoo Robinson as the gunman in court. Almost immediately after the conclusion of that case, Blue would be released on time served, walking free after just 5 years behind bars, leaving him with a record that stretched back to the late 1980s cocaine conspiracies, and a historic police corruption case to a modern drill rap gang war in which he first buried one son and then helped send another to prison for life. But in actuality, it's really worse than that, because in the art of self-preservation, a class in which Blue seemed like he aced most of his life, he sealed the fate of another son, his own namesake, Abdul Robinson Jr. Robinson Jr. was charged in the same murder case of Charles Little Buck McCormick, accused of aiding and planning in the escape. After his father agreed to cooperate with prosecutors, the state's theory of the crime became clearer and more structured, placing both brothers within the same coordinated act, and with Blue's testimony confirming key parts of the timeline, including the getaway and the disposal of evidence, the prosecution's case against Junior became significantly stronger. And at that point, I'm sure the risk of proceeding to trial would increase. So rather than challenge a conspiracy case supported by your own father's statement, Hakeem Robinson Jr. would go on to accept a plea agreement for accessory after the fact, resulting in a 12-year prison sentence. A practical decision in light of the strengthened evidence made after his father's cooperation had already altered the outlook of his case. So Blue didn't just implicate one son. His testimony directly contributed to the outcome for his namesake as well, a decision that helped him secure his own release while sending two of his sons away. Now, y'all make sure y'all hit the red bell and subscribe button right under this video so y'all know when this real trill spill shit is dropping. Y'all get in the comment box below.
That's crazy. Both of your kids, and I'm pretty sure that your kids had you on their mind, like, damn, you played with my dad. We was in the car, you shot my dad. And you snitched on them for basically sliding for you. And that's crazy. It's like you was in jail all that time, and then your sons basically became your homeboys. And I'm pretty sure like you were somewhat involved. A little bit, a lot, but you were somewhat involved. And then to turn around and snitch on them is crazy work. And not, be in jail with them is crazy work. Y'all get in the comment section. Y'all tell me your thoughts on this. And like the video, subscribe. I appreciate it. And I see y'all in the next one.